maybe Nancy will pop in. I'm gonna get us going. We're gonna start in recline bound angle. So you can see I have the bolster. You can use 2 bed pillows with a pillow for your head, and then your 2 blocks for under your knees, or you could do 2 square pillows, whatever you have. So I'm going to be muting everybody in a moment. And by the way, if anyone ever wants music, I always have a playlist because I do teach one class in person. So I always make a playlist every week to go with our practice. So it's nice if you play it on a separate device. So you're welcome to always play your own music or no music, whatever you prefer. But if you do like to have music, I always have one that goes with our theme. So just email me if you want it before class and I'll make sure you get it. Okay. So going ahead and muting. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Yes? Okay. I always have to check because I never know if it's new line. So go ahead and come into your pose on your back. So we're going to do soles of the feet together, knees apart. Make a little space in your lower back as you come down. A little bit of moving your tailbone out from under you. And then we'll come down to rest in the pose. And I think I'm just going to stay here the rest of class and you guys can just breathe. It's been one of those weeks. So I'm going to come up though and share a little bit about our practice today. So the theme of our practice is called Becoming Real. And becoming real is a phrase that comes from a story you might know called The Velveteen Rabbit. I will be sharing that quote at the end of our practice, but right now I'm going to share a little bit about how this relates to our yoga philosophy. So take a couple moments, settle in, come into your breathing. Starting to slow that breath down into the belly. So yoga philosophy talks about the afflictions of the mind. And there are 5 afflictions of the mind that are listed in the Yoga Sutras. We're going to talk about one of them today. The one that we're focusing on is called Asmita, A-S-M-I-T-A. And it's sometimes translated as ego. We all think of, that word and the connotations that go with that word, but it's not all bad. There's a lot of, negativity associated with it. But Yoga Sutras tell us that asmita happens when we identify the parts of ourselves that change. Everything from your mind to your body, your appearance, your job title. Instead of focusing and identifying with the quiet place within you that does not change. It's when you mistakenly believe on some level that how you look or feel or what you do for a living is who you truly are. Instead of recognizing that your true self with a capital S, who you are at your core, is unchanging. So it doesn't mean that we can't, enjoy these different labels that we have, like I am a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a yoga teacher. But the yoga philosophies tell us that when we get over-identified with these things that are changing is when we might have some suffering. So for example, if I lost my ability to be a yoga teacher, I'd probably suffer greatly because it's a big piece of who I am, right? But the yoga reminds us on a continual basis not to be attached to these things, right? We go through phases in our lives. My children, I was just talking about growing up, all things that can trip us up when we're so closely identified with these things. So what it's encouraging us to do is to see beyond all those labels to this part of ourselves that is unchanging. So if we think about our brain, it's like a supercomputer. So from the time you're little, I talk about this a lot, we are downloading programs into our brain, right? What our parents teach us, what school teaches us, what advertising teaches us about ourselves, what our friends say and influence us, culture. But all of those are not that unchanging part of the self. So that seer, we call it in yoga, sees through the lens of the mind of all of these things that we have kind of downloaded into our programming. So we see the world through the lens of those things, through the lens of our experiences. And sometimes we even over-identify with our pain, our traumas, and we feel like that's who we really are. So it's asking us to take a step back and have that relationship with this unchanging part of ourselves. Let's take a couple of more breaths here. I always find that when I come to my mat regularly, I have that closer connection with the capital S self. It allows some of that other stuff to fall away. So we'll work on releasing tension in the body through some somatic work so we can release a layer of that. We'll work with some versions of child's pose. And we're also going to work with a little balance today. I always find that balance is a good ego checker, right? We always want to stick that pose, but we're learning to be unattached to the outcome. So take one more nice full breath. And then we're going to start to come out of this pose. So take your time, and you might stretch your legs out for a moment. You might windshield wiper your legs. And then when you're ready, we're going to clear the mat of all of our props and come back down onto your back. Make sure there's no props directly overhead or right alongside of you so you can move freely so we can do a little bit of somatic work. So we're going to come back down onto our backs. And we're just going to start with our feet flat, knees bent. And just let your arms come down at your sides. Take another breath or two there to settle. And then we're going to slide the left leg out straight. Keep the right leg bent. So we're going to do a couple versions of the unwinding work here. Take the arms out to a T. Widen the right foot and the left leg so they're about a mat's distance apart. And then we're going to start to rock the right knee to the left as we look over the right shoulder, push into the foot. Let the hip lift off the ground and give a good squeeze to the back of your hip to your glute, and then release back to start. I'm going to be layering some things on, so just start with that a few more cycles. We get used to that. Rocking right knee to the left, press through your foot, lift the hip, and let your head roll over your right shoulder. Okay, we're going to add on, the left leg is going to slide into bound angle. So as the right knee drops over to the left, slide your left foot up and look over your right shoulder. It starts to open a little bit more into the front of the thigh, and then you're going to slide that leg back out. Okay, so if you need a visual, you can look for a moment. We're going to slide left foot up into like a bound angle. Right knee drops over like it's going to touch your foot. Arch your back. Look over your shoulder. Okay, let's try that one a few more times. And we're going to add on an upper body piece to this in a moment. So we're just going to give our brains a little chance to adjust to each different version before we add on. Let's try to move into the movement on an inhale and release back to the start on an exhale. Now go ahead and pause. Keep the right foot flat, knee bent. Take your arms into goal post position. So the elbows are bent in line with your shoulders. You're going to do the same movement. So right knee drops over, left foot slides up. Now straighten your right arm and now look over your left shoulder. Pull your left elbow towards your knee. And then we're back to the start. Goal post arms, foot is flat. So this one's a little more complicated. So if you can't get it, feel free to get a visual. Let's try that again. Right knee drops over. Left foot slides up. Straighten the right arm. Look over your left shoulder and pull your left elbow and your left knee together. And then slide it back to the start. Okay. So let's go ahead and do 3 more like that. Inhale. There's a lot going on in this. We're lengthening the right side. We're contracting the left side. We're getting fluidity into the hips. Little strengthening for the side waist. And after you finish this next one, go ahead, come back to the start, let your legs slide out, and just take a little pause. So I want to get a little more open in the hips so we can work on some child's pose variations, also some balance with our tree pose today. Let's try that on the other side. Bend your left knee. Start with your arms out to a T. And we'll go ahead and just do the first basic version. So left knee drops over to the right knee. Look over your left shoulder. Arch your back away from the ground. Push into that big toe side of your foot and release back to the start. Several more like that on an inhale. You might even feel this across the chest. You can let that left elbow just kind of draw down a little bit as you let that knee come across. After this one, we're going to start to add the sound angle slide. So as your left knee drops over to the right, slide your right foot up. Same thing, you got that little twist in the torso. Pushing off that left foot. And for now, we're still looking at the left shoulder. So we're trying to get out of the head into the body when we do somatics. Try a couple more rounds like that, which is really important when we're trying to work on concept of asmita, the ego. We get out of our heads into our bodies. We drop more into level of feeling, and not so much always the thinking. Okay, pause. Put your arms in goalpost position. And now as that left knee comes across, we're going to straighten the left arm and slide the right arm down to touch the knee as close as you can. So do that one a few more times. Same thing in the lower body as we did before. But now left arm straightens, right arm is going to try and touch the right knee. And then come back. Okay, so let's do a few more like that. Notice where you're feeling restriction in your tissues. This repetition is going to help release some of that restriction. 2 more rounds. All right, go ahead and release back to the center, legs out, arms out. Take a moment. Nice full cycle of breath. And then take the arms overhead, full body stretch. And we're going to hug the knees in. So when we are on our back and we hug our knees in, it's very similar to what we are doing in child's pose, but we don't have all the pressure on our knees. So just enjoy this here, nice lengthening for your lower back. Hold another breath or two. And then we're going to take knees apart, reach down, hold your ankles on the inside of your legs. So again, very similar to our child's pose, but here on our back. Let your tailbone be heavy. Let the shoulders drop. Hold there, one more breath. And then we'll bring those knees back into the chest. Roll to the side. And we're going to come on up into tabletop position, all fours. All right, so go ahead and take a few cycles of our cat-cow. Take an inhale, exhale, round through your spine. And let's continue a few more cycles. I'm going to encourage you today, in particular, to stay real with yourself. So always making choices that are right for your body. A lot of times we make choices out of that asmita, that ego, and we're trying to do more than maybe what our bodies would like us to do on any given day. So listen to your body as we progress through this practice. Last round. Back into tabletop. We're going to move back into our child's pose. And put your forehead on your hands for a moment. Stack up your palms. All right, let's come back up into tabletop pose. We're going to take the right leg out to the side. And we're going to do a version of thread the needle here. So as you inhale, take your left arm, reach it up. And as you exhale, thread it through. Try to reach towards your toes. We're going to do that 2 more rounds. Inhale, lift up, open into the twist. Exhale, thread it through. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to hold it. Okay. So we're going to stay here. A couple of options for you. You can keep that right hand right in front of you on the ground. You need to grab a pillow or a blanket under your head if you're not reaching the ground. If your head is on the ground, you could progress. Otherwise, you're going to stay where you are. So if the head's not on the ground, don't force it. Okay, get some support. Option to walk the right hand straight ahead in front of your head. So you're lengthening through that right side. Another option here is to start to turn your chest open. So you start to look a little bit more toward the ceiling. And you might press through that right palm a bit. Might be up on your finger pads. Nice stretch for the neck and the upper back. Now we're going to slowly start to walk it back to the center. Actually come around to the front so you can see a little better. That leg is still out to the side. We're going to take an inhale, look forward. Exhale, start to move your hips back like child's pose. You might not come all the way. You can just go a couple inches or go all the way back. Inhale forward. Exhale, shift back. One leg is out to the side. One leg is bent. That's it. Now, this next time we come back, we're going to sit all the way back. Bring your left shin in front of you. I'm not mirroring you guys. And we're almost like we're in that Janu Shavasana position. So the left foot is right in front, right leg is out. Feel free to pull in a prop here to sit on. Feel free to put a block under that knee. Okay. From here, take your left palm to the ground. So I hope I'm not confusing you because I'm not mirroring you. Take your right arm and reach it up and over your ear and then down. Now, those of you wanted to, you're going to lift your hips up here. Reach your arm up and over your ear, lift your hips up off the ground, and then circle that arm back. Good, 2 more times. Inhale, lift up, or just work on the arm if you don't want to lift. Good. 1 more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down. Good. Come back to the center. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, walk it forward any amount. You can also stay upright. Take a moment and tip your sit bones back behind you, and that might help you come a little bit farther. Hold for a few breaths. Okay, slowly walking it back up. We're going to keep the legs similar to how they are, but we're going to try and come back up. So push yourself back up. That leg is still out to the side. Right leg is out to the side. Good. So get there however you can. And then we're going to walk the arms forward like down dog arms. This is called puppy, but with the leg out. And just sort of like bowing inward toward the ground. And you might not come all the way. Just do what you can. Remember, listen to your body. 1 more breath. And then we're going to walk it back in when you're ready and bring that knee back in. Move back to a brief child's pose. Okay, let's try that on the other side. Go ahead, come back up in the table. Left leg is going to step out to the side. Good. Inhale, right arm up. And thread it through. And 2 more like this. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, thread. 1 more time. Take that arm all the way through and pause. Remember, you can always modify. Listen to your body. If you need to, you can always bring that knee down if this is too much. Options here is stay where you are or walk that left hand forward in front of your head and start to turn your chest a little bit more toward the ceiling if that feels good. If the head is not reaching the ground, give it support and don't deepen the posture. You want to be safe in your neck. Everyone's different. Holding it here, another breath or 2. All right, slowly starting to walk your hands back out in front of you. Take your time, and then we're going to inhale, exhale, shift your hips back. So any amount coming forward and back. One more time. And then we're going to try and sit all the way back. So you're going to bring that foot out in front of you. Sit up on the prop if you feel like that's helpful for your body. Supporting the knee also is an option. If you are supporting the knee, I would suggest maybe not doing the lift up, just work on the arm swing. So right hand's going to come down. Inhale, sweep that left arm up. Option to lift your hips off the ground. And then release. So you can just work with the arm or lift your hips. Good. One more time. Good. And then we're walking it back to center. Make your way back up so that you're on your knee and the leg is out in front of you. And we'll walk it forward for those down dog arms. Release your head in between your arms. Coming down either all the way to the ground or part way to the ground. Do what you can. Listen to your body. You can also just do this with the leg in if that's better for you. So you have options. All right, slowly walk it back in. Bring that knee back in. And let's take one more child's pose here. All right, slowly coming back up. We're going to clear the mat of the blanket if it's still there. And we'll do our standing work for a little while. So we're going to make our way to our downward facing dog as you are ready to. Hands slightly in front of your shoulders. Lift your hips up and back. And take a couple moments and pedal it out. Shake out your head. Press through your palms. And then we're going to take the feet as wide as the mat. Bend your knees, walk your hands back towards your feet, and fold forward over your legs. Next inhale, bring your hands to your hips, press into your feet, and let's carefully come all the way up into a standing position. Okay, finding your mountain pose. Okay, root down through your legs, lift your chest, lift the crown of your head. As you inhale, we're going to do our heel lift. So lift your heels, circle your arms, reach up. You can always go to a wall if you need help with balance today. Lower your heels, lower your arms. Good, couple more cycles. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. One more time. This time, as you lower, fold over your legs. Inhale to your halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, reach those arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Let's do that 2 more cycles. We'll keep the heel lift. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, lower the heels, fold over your legs, building in some balance. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, and fold. Inhale, arms reach. Lift those heels. Exhale right into it. Heels down. Fold forward over your legs. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms reach, heels lift. And this time, just release back to mountain pose. Good. Step your feet apart wide. Turn your right leg out to the right. Turn your left toes in a little bit. And we're going to come into warrior 2 position, holding here. Press down through your feet, especially your heels. And then think about the front of the pelvis lifting up, back of the pelvis lengthening down. We want to try and find neutral pelvis. So that is going to be helpful for our balance work. Just hold it here, another breath. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to straighten the front leg. Pause. Press that foot down. Press the big toe mound down and feel like you're turning your leg open. So find that little squeegee through your foot. And then reach forward and down, come into triangle pose. So hold on either ankle, shin, top arm is going to reach up. Spiral the bottom arm open and shift your hips towards your back foot, which will lengthen your waist a little bit. And then hold it here. Now we're going to take that top arm over your ear and find a nice length through the top side body. Keep pulling your hips towards your back foot, and then from your shoulder blade, reach through the top arm. See if you can really feel a lengthening there. Good. Next inhale, rise up to your warrior two. Straighten that leg, parallel your feet, hands to your hips. Turn both sets of toes out a little bit and bend your knees, coming into a little squat. Good, and we're going to straighten by pressing into those heels. Try not to lock your knees, and then rebend. So we're opening up the hips in preparation for our tree pose. Good, 2 more cycles. See if you might go a little bit lower every time. And this time, hold it for an extra couple of breaths. Press the heels down. Press the sit bones forward and the thighs back to help open up. And then place your hands right across your heart space. So even though that lower body is working really hard, can we stay nice and calm in our breath? 1 more breath cycle. The next inhale, straighten those legs. Hands back to the hips. And then let's do our warrior two sequence on the other side. So turning left toes to the left, right heel widens a little bit, and then bend into that knee. Arms come out. Gazing over those left fingertips. We're going to lift the hip points up, lengthen the tailbone. So get that feeling of neutral pelvis. Also getting the shoulders to roll back a bit, keeping the chest lifted. All right, inhale, straighten your front leg. Pause. Press down through your big toe mound and externally rotate through your leg. And then reach forward and down. You're going to hold on wherever you can. Ankle, shin. Top arm is going to reach up initially. Start to pull your hips towards your back foot, deepening your front hip crease. Bottom arm spirals open. And then let's take that top arm, reach it up and over your ear. And we're going to press into the back foot. From your top shoulder blade, reach. Lengthen that side body. Good. Next inhale, we're rising back up to our warrior two. Straighten that leg, parallel your feet. Inhale here, exhale, bend your knees, hinge forward. Hands come down to the ground. And then start to walk your palms out, finding down dog arms like we did earlier. Head comes between the arms. We're going to bend those knees a little bit, let the hips come down. Pull your hip creases back, lengthening. And then straightening your legs by pressing through your feet and lifting your sit bones up. Good. Walk those hands back in. Heel toe your feet in far enough that you can bring your hands to your hips and slowly press yourself up into a standing position. Very good. Okay, so we're going to work on our balance now. You're welcome to go to a wall, grab a chair, or work in the middle of the room if you like. Okay? So find your Tadasana, mountain pose. Get firmly established in your posture, in your legs. Take another breath. And then we're going to bring our hands onto our hips. Standing on your right leg, come onto the ball of your left foot. As you do that, can you keep your hips level? Pause there. Next stage, we're going to lift that knee off the ground. Bring your foot off the ground. Tone your belly. Pull your tailbone down, shoulders back. Good. Lower it down. We're going to progress a little bit at a time. Now standing on your left leg, come onto the ball of the right foot. Shoulders back. Tone your belly and try not to let one hip be higher than the other. And then when you're ready, lift that knee up to about hip height. Again, when that knee lifts, can you keep your hips level? A lot of times that one's going to hike up a little higher. Maintain a steady gaze and steady breath, and then we'll release. Okay, this time we're going to take that knee out to the side, not coming into tree pose just yet. So if you need to, a wall space to hold on to might be helpful. Standing on the right leg, come onto the ball of the left foot. Tone the belly, hips stay even, and then let's pick that knee up off the ground. And we're going to see if we can take it out to the side and bring your left hand inside the leg and press them into each other. Sometimes it's good to have a counterbalance by taking that arm out. Sometimes it's better on your hip. Lift tall through the crown of your head. Remember, this arm could also be on a wall or a chair. Good. Knee back to center and release. Good. Stand for a moment. Let's try the other side. Standing on the left leg, ball of the right foot. Belly is toning, hips are level. Lift that knee up. And then take it out to the side. Right hand comes inside the leg. Left hand can stay on the hip or go out to the side. See if you can balance there. And try not to get too caught up in that ego mind of things have to be a certain way. One more breath. Back to the center and release that foot down. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forwards. Take a little break before we continue. Inhale, halfway. Exhale and hold. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. All right, let's continue. Stand on your right leg. Come onto the ball of the left foot. Tone the belly. This time, turn that leg open. Starting kickstand tree, heel above the ankle. And either hands on your hips, that might be a good place to start, or we're going to put our hands across the chest like we did earlier. So even though we're going to start to maybe lose our balance as we get higher into our tree pose, let's see if we can stay composed, stay with a nice steady breath. So our hands could be there to remind us. If you're ready to pick that foot off the ground. Remember, you can also be holding onto a wall with one hand. That standing leg, root it down into the ground, press your foot and inner leg together, and lift up through the crown of your head. If you are steady, you might bring that foot up higher, but see if you can go with what feels stable instead of that ego mind. Some of you might take the arms overhead now. And if not, just keep those hands at the heart. It is a full moon today, I believe, which always makes it more challenging to balance. Good. Let's slowly release. I kept you there a long time so you can really kind of play with that idea of not being attached to falling out of it. One of my teachers always said, you're going to fall downward. Fall upward. You're going to fall upward. And then you have to laugh at yourself. Okay, let's try the other side. Standing on that left leg, we're going to come onto the ball of the foot and then externally rotate, starting kickstand. So as you come into kickstand, notice if your hip pops out, keep it firming in. Tone the belly, shoulders back, and then hands could come across your heart. See if you can get really stable and be able to breathe. Sometimes we hold our breath when we try to balance. Can we still breathe? And then we can say, maybe I'm ready to go a little farther. So maybe picking that foot up. If you start to wobble a lot and you lose your breath, can you decide to go back instead of forcing it? But maybe those arms are going to come up. Continue to breathe. Holding here one more. And slowly release, foot down, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. We're going to step back to downward facing dog pose. And then bring our knees down to the ground. We're going to come back into child's pose. But before we do, take a moment. I want you to bring your big toes to touch. Widen your knees before we come into child. Take a little bit of a pelvic tilt. Stick your sit bones back behind you. And slowly keep moving your sit bones back. Sit bones back. So help you deepen your child's pose. And then we're going to walk everything over to the right. Keep walking until your torso lines up toward your thigh. Put your left palm on top. Press down through your palms. And then stretch your hips back. Let your head come between your arms. And then breathe into your side body. All right, let's walk it center. And then over to the other side. Keep walking till your torso lines up with your thigh. Stack your right palm on top. And then pull your hips back away from your arms. Send your breath into that right side of your body. All right, make your way back to the center and either arms forward or stack them under your head. And we'll take a couple more breaths there in the center. All right, from here, let's go ahead, back up into tabletop, back up to downward facing dog. Get off those knees a moment, pedal it out. Inhale through your plank pose. Lower all the way down. Stretch back through your legs, shoulders back, inhale, cobra. Exhale down, 2 more cobras. You didn't get any of those in, so just want to get a couple of little back bends in. One more time. Good. Come all the way down, pick up your feet, circle your feet. And go the other direction. From here, let those feet come down. And we're going to slide back. And we're going to take another child's pose. We'll finish with this one. We're going to come into restorative child's pose. So you're either going to grab your bolster or your two bed pillows or whatever you have that looks like a bolster. And we're going to take a block and elevate it so that it's not flat. Okay. You might want, depending on the surface you're on, to put a blanket, open it up pretty wide so you have something under your knees. And then we're going to take our knees wide. Make sure that bolster setup comes in between your knees. So kind of shift forward enough. And then pause with your hands alongside of the bolster. Okay. Before we come down, I want you to think about your sit bones sticking out behind you. That'll help you deepen your hip creases. And then come down and you can either hug the bolster with your arms or let your arms be alongside of you. I kind of like the huggy version. It's very cozy. Your head is going to be turned to one side. And see if you can let the sit bones and tailbone be heavy towards your heels. If for any reason this is not comfortable, you can do a knee hug on your back again, as similar to child's pose. You can also just come down on your belly for like a crocodile pose. Find a nice soft breath. Have a sense of letting go with every exhale. If we can tap into that capital S self as we pause in a pose that allows us to let go and be still. Now at some point, you're going to want to turn your head to the other side. So we are about halfway, so you might want to do that sometime soon. Turn your head to face the other direction for another minute or two. Last 3 breaths. After your 3rd breath, slide your hands under your shoulders. Use your hands to press yourself slowly up. And very simply, we're going to turn around. And just have your hands behind you, your feet flat. We're going to use that setup for Shavasana. actually, before we do that, make sure you have a pillow for your head. Since we didn't have a pillow for child's pose, you're going to want that. If you have something else you might want to put under your knees, you can also grab that. We're not quite there yet, but very soon. If you want anything to cover up with, layers, grab what you need. Hands are behind you. You're kind of right next to the bolster, and we're going to windshield wiper the legs side to side. Now, as the knees drop over, let's say I'm going to the left, I'm going to bring my right arm around into a twist. Since we didn't really get that twist in on our back. And then we're going to go to the other side. Windshield wiper the legs to the other side, swing the arm around into a bit of a twist. And go ahead and do a few rounds side to side. Stretch through that arm. You might feel this also a little bit through your hips. One more each side. And after this next one, let's come back to the center. Scoot your tailbone out from under you like we did in the beginning and ease yourself back. Put the pillow under your head, not your shoulders. And then if you want something under your knees, you can grab that. If you want to cover up or put some weight on your body, feel free. This time, legs are out straight as opposed to the bound ankle. And I'm going to let you guys settle in for another couple of moments. We'll come to relax here for our Shavasana. So taking your time to get settled in. Start to soften and slow your breath. With every exhalation, just starting to feel a sense of release, of letting go. Letting go of the facade, of our external appearance, of our facial expression. So almost like you're a flower that's beginning to soften open. Soft inhalation in, and then let a layer like a flower petal start to open you. With every exhalation, imagining another one of those layers starting to softly open. Letting go a layer of tension, a layer of stress, a layer of fear. Keep going till you start to feel this soft center starting to be exposed. Innermost part of the self that we tend to armor up, tend to protect it. Allow yourself to feel in a safe environment so that you can allow this soft center to breathe. A couple more minutes there. I'm going to share this reading with you before we start to come out. And again, this is from Marjorie Williams from the Velveteen Rabbit. And it really goes well with this whole idea that we've been talking about of becoming real. and letting go kind of that false self. Real isn't how you are made. It's a thing that happens to you. Sometimes it hurts. But when you are real, you don't mind being hurt. It doesn't happen all at once. You become. It takes a long time. And that is why it doesn't often happen to people who break easily, or who have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints, very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. Once you are real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts for always. So sometimes it takes the challenges, the difficulties, the pain, the traumas of life to help us to become real with ourselves, to know what matters, to know what's important to us. Sometimes all those labels are not so important when it comes down to really connecting with that truest part of ourselves. The yoga tradition talks about Maya, the great illusion. That we kind of see things unclearly through that lens of the computer mind. But our yoga practice helps us clear away, like wiping off the dirty window, clearing out cobwebs. We can see more clearly into our true nature. So as you take these last few breaths, noticing you feel a little more connected to that capital S self, how real you feel in this moment. And let's hold on to that as we make our way through our day. So go ahead, take your time. And start to reawaken with slower, deeper breaths again, small movements. Try to stay relaxed on the inside, staying with that soft center. And we'll gradually start to make those movements a little bigger before coming over onto your side for a pause. Take your time, come on up as you are ready into a comfortable seat. And then let's take a moment, put our hands right on the chest, palms flat again like we did before. And close your eyes or find a soft gaze. Take a couple of breaths in your heart space. Some of the yoga philosophy refers to the heart space, the heart chakra, as being home to this capital S self. Breathing into it a few more moments, connecting to what is real. Part of the self that is unchanging, beyond our labels, beyond our appearance, beyond the roles we play in life, beyond our conditioning and oftentimes negative thought. It's the pure aspect of the self. Let's just keep the hands as they are and bow inward. And then go ahead, lift your gaze. We'll place palms together. And namaste.